Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here as we get ready for our 29th race of the second season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. Chase race number 3, elimination race number 1. At the conclusion of today's race, the 16 drivers that started off their journey here in the playoffs, only 12 will move on, 4 will be eliminated. One driver comes into this race knowing he will move on to the round of 12, regardless of what happens here today at the Yard of Bricks. We'll get to that in just a moment. On the front row, as a matter of fact, the entire top 3. How about Northeast Motorsports figuring out how to qualify here at Indianapolis as pole sitter and playoff contender Benjamin Miles lines up on the point. Had a great run last week at Charlotte Roval, which puts him in pretty good stead coming into this race, but there's really, to be honest, only 2 drivers that right now look like they'll be moving on to the next round. Absolutely. Everybody else kind of pins and needles at the moment. Alongside of Benjamin Miles, though, is his teammate William Brock. Brock is still looking for his first win of the year. He has really struggled this season as he comes into this one 27th in points. And Alexander Rowe, one of 3 rookies that has won this season, he is going to line up in the 3rd position. So it's a 1-2-3 starting lineup for the Northeast Motorsports Chevy Camaro team. Now, coming into this race, only 1 driver is locked into the next round. That was because of some pit strategy last week that got Cole Baker his 2nd victory of the season, so he will move on to the round of 12. The only other driver coming into this race that looks like he might have a shot of pointing his way in is Carson Gum. He's going to have to basically finish in the top 25 in order to do that, though, and we'll tell you why in just a moment. Without further ado, let's go down trackside, though, get those most famous words in motorsports here at one of the most historical racetracks on the circuit.
Drivers, start your engines!
So as the command is given, and the pace car will lead these drivers around this very historic racetrack, let's give you what the point standings look like as far as who is in what kind of a position coming into this one. So, the way things stand right now, Cole Baker is your overall points leader, as well as already locked into the next round. Then you got Carson Gum. Now, he comes into this race 2nd in the point standings as far as the playoff contenders go, and he has a 42-point gap from himself back to 12th in the standings. Most points you can gain is 47 points. So like I said, if Carson Gum finishes even in the top 30, he'll basically point his way in. Benjamin Miles, the pole sitter today, is 3rd in the standings. He is only 28 points ahead of the cut line. Then you got Dylan Young 4th in the standings. He is 26 points ahead of the cut line. Ryan Acosta is 5th. He is 17 points ahead of the cut line, as is Johnny Gardner, who is 6th in standings. Ryan Brommer in 7th. He is only 19 points ahead of the cut line. Then Carter Friesen's 8th in the standings. He is 17 points ahead of the cut line. I should go back to Ryan Acosta and Johnny Gardner. They're actually both 21 points ahead of the cut line. I didn't calculate correctly in my head. Cody Lamas is 9th in points. He is 13 points ahead of the cut line. 8 points ahead of the cut line in 10th is Michael Norman. Levi Mcintyre is right now 11th. He is 3 points ahead of the cut line. Your cut line driver is Zach Rogers. And right now, the drivers that would be in an elimination spots 13 through 16. Right now, you got Matt McIntyre in 13th place. He's 7 points behind the cut line of 12th place. Also 7 points behind the cut line is Jesse Turner in 14th. 15th is Jordan Lopez. He is 12 points behind the cut line. And Trey Wright, almost in a must-win situation, but not quite, but really needs a good run if he's going to advance. 16th in the playoff standings. He has a total of 22 points behind 12th in the standings. So we'll try and keep all of the scenarios kind of try to at least get them all set up in my head correctly. As the green flag's out, let's roll in the Brickyard 400. Benjamin Miles wants to get that all-important lap led. There you see the 28 of Trey Wright taking 3rd place from William Brock. He's not in a must-win situation, but he definitely has to finish up inside the top 10 in this one. If he gets another DNF, that's his playoff hopes gone. Teammates will battle for the lead. Alexander Rowe with a big run. Going to try and take the lead away from his teammate Benjamin Miles, who I'm certain would have loved to have gotten that lap-led bonus point, but might not be able to do so, as, wow, you saw him have to check up there in the center of the corner, and Alexander Rowe is going to take the top position. Looks like we will complete the first lap under green flag conditions. Benjamin Miles, big run down the straightaway. Won't be able to get his teammate at the line, but he'll probably have the inside of turn 1 going into this corner. See Cole Baker back there in the 11, about the 6th, 7th car on that inside line. He can go, he can go completely mayhem all he wants to right here, because if he wrecks, well, he's still moving on to the next round. If he wins, that's his 3rd win of his season and 3rd of his career. So, I mean, why not? Saw him use pit strategy last week at Charlotte Roval to be able to pick up that victory and lock himself up a playoff spot. And we got Cole Baker in the wall! Spinning in front of the field. And a couple are going to get collected. One of them was Matt McIntyre getting a piece. And remember, he came in an elimination spot. Backmarker Motorsports teammate Vince Almriego was caught up as well. And we got an incident here as Matthew Rodriguez was trying to get to pit road. Everybody was juking and jiving, trying to give him room. And I thought they were wrecking up here. Jessica Shelton and Ryan Acosta were leaning on each other. I don't know why Matt Rod's on pit road. This looks like it's regularly scheduled, too. And Cole Baker, well, it's a good thing he won last week because he's not going to win this week. He's going to DNF, it looks like. And that was a pretty wild ride for him, and he was up inside the top 10 as well. I saw it 3 wide. I couldn't tell who was on the outside of the 3 wide, but I know Baker was in the middle, and I think that was Corey Williams down the bottom. And more often than not, over there in 3 and 4, you just can't go 3 wide. So first caution of the day comes out on lap number 2. William Brock is the race leader. It's still a 1-2-3 running order for the Northeast Motorsports teammates. Let's go back and see what happened. Here's the 3 wide situation going into turn 3. That is indeed Corey Williams making his 2nd start of the year down the bottom. Cole Baker in the middle. Adam Garcia up top. And contact between teammates sends Baker up into Garcia. There's a shot right there. Derek Hamill gets involved. I'm looking for the 57 of Matthew Rodriguez. There he is on the outside. I want to see if he gets involved because he came to pit road. There's where Matt McIntyre gets a piece. And, yep, Matt got a piece right there as well. There's Vince Almriego, nowhere to go. Don't know how significant the contact is there on Matt McIntyre. Remember, he came in 13th in points, 7 points behind the 12th in the standings cut line, which currently is held by Zach Rogers. So, hopefully for him, there wasn't that much contact and he'll be able to continue up to speed, but we're going to have to keep tabs on that. As Cole Baker, who took the checkers last week, is our first caution of the day here at Indianapolis. Well, with this early caution, everybody took the opportunity to come to pit road, and we had a great battle off pit lane between rookies Alexander Rowe and Sebastian Kukulon. Rowe got the better of it, and he'll restart as the leader over Kukulon, who finished runner-up last weock to his teammate Cole Baker. It was looking like it was going to be Sebastian Kukulon taking the checkers, but the timing of a yellow flag foiled those plans. Playoff contender Johnny Gardner is going to line up there in 3rd. Trey Wright still there in 4th, so trying to keep his playoff hopes alive. Then you got Mitchell Collins in 5th. William Brock is 6th. Corey Williams 7th. Benjamin Miles 8th. 9th is Levi Mcintyre, who came in 1 position ahead of 12th in the standings. Only, I think it was 3 points to the good. And Carson Gum, right now in the 10th position, with where he's running, Carson Gum would be locked into the round of 12. Out of the race after the incident we just saw, 2 drivers and 2 teammates, Cole Baker and Vince Almriego. You see back there at the very tail end of the field, Matthew Rodriguez is still on the lead lap. They got whatever pit stop, whatever they had to do on that pit stop, they got it done. Got him back out. He was out ahead of the pace car, so he'll restart on the lead lap. Extended stay on pit road for Matt McIntyre. He restarts back in the 37th position. We'll keep tabs on him, see if he is going to be up to speed, because remember, he came into this race in an elimination spot. In a moment, we'll also go back and find Jesse Turner and Jordan Lopez, see where they're at, because both of them came into elimination spots. We know Trey Wright's up here inside the top 5, and we know Matt McIntyre is at the rear of the field. So we'll find out where the 38 and the 47 are as the green flag comes back out. And we're back underway here at Indianapolis. I know Jordan Lopez was near the rear of the field when we looked back for the wreck, so let's see if he still is back here. There's Jesse Turner. Restarted in 35th, and Lopez not much better. 29th right now for the NVIDIA Aces Republic of Gamers Ford Mustang. Looks like Matt McIntyre is up to speed right now in that 37th spot. Matthew Rodriguez looks like he may have actually lost a cylinder or something. That car is not getting up through the gears. He has lost the lead pack, and he is big time off the pace. Had a big breakaway here at the front. See, there's a gap from Jack Mitchell back to Charles Sanford. Don't know exactly what happened there. Getting awfully racy up here at the front, though, as Alexander Rowe checks out. Battle is now for second. Sebastian Kukulon, Trey Wright, Johnny Gardner, Corey Williams entering into this battle as well. So far this season, we've had 3 rookies go to victory lane for 4 victories. 2 for Cody Lamas, 1 for Alexander Rowe, and 1 for Casey Nanico. Alexander Rowe trying to make it the 5th win for rookies here this season and 2nd of his career. Got some other playoff contenders that were just outside the top 10 before we went green that are now working their way up towards the front. Ryan Brommer last time by 14th. Ryan Acosta right behind him in 15th. Ryan Acosta started on the pole last week at Charlotte Roval, was way at the rear of the field, and then with the timing of that yellow was able to stay out and I think came away with a top 5. It was at least a top 10, and there's Carter Friesen in the 37. Friesen 8th in the point standings coming to this one, and right now he is 17th. Let's see where he crosses the line this time, and he's still 17th. Up front, got a battle here. This is for 2nd place. This is all going on almost a second behind the race leader Alexander Rowe. As Benjamin Miles now moves back P2. Trey Wright slides by for 3rd. Austin LaPlante in the vicinity there in the 48. LaPlante had a great comeback finish last week. Got involved in a wreck and somehow was able to get a top 10 finish. With these drivers battling side by side, the way that the 2019 rules package works, they are literally holding each other up and allowing the 24 of Alexander Rowe to be able to get away. We'll see if they can get themselves organized single file here, and as soon as I say that, LaPlante's going to drive it down to the inside. LaPlante was the only one of the Northeast Motorsports cars that didn't start up near the front. His other teammates started 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I think LaPlante started outside the top 20. And now he's up in the 2nd spot. Jack Mitchell going to move into 3rd place. Charles Sanford right there as well. A lot of drivers in this field up towards the front that are looking for their first win of the season. For Sanford and Mitchell, they're looking for the first wins of their career. Wide going into turn 1 there with Trey Wright, Benjamin Miles, and Mitchell Collins, and it's going to be a wreck. Collins around in front of the field. Corey Williams is involved. Carson Gumbs collected, and they're going to continue to pile in. That was Matt Haas getting a piece of it. And we got another spin back there. That's Michael Norman and Marcus Sacchi out of turn 4. They're still wrecking. Hamill, Rogers, who came in the critical 12th position in points. Jordan Lopez, who came in an elimination spot. And that's going to change up the point standings, and that's for absolute sure. Look at the damage sustained by Zach Rogers, who came in 12th in points. Jordan Lopez, don't know how much damage he got, but he right now scraping the wall because I think he did not want to commit to pit road. Derek Hamill's out of the race. Lopez comes back out on track now, and he's not going to use the access road. But he came into this one 15th of the 16 playoff drivers. No doubt about it, that wreck's going to shake up the point stands, and I see some left side damage on Trey Wright in the 28 car. So if he comes to pit road, they're going to have to get that fixed, and he's going to lose a lot of positions on track. He's got right side damage as well. And remember, he needed to have a top 10 run to keep his playoff hopes alive. Up to this point, the plan was working perfectly. But now he's got himself some damage. He's going to probably have an extended stay on pit road, and we'll have to find out where he restarts. Is Alexander Rowe probably the only person that didn't want to see that caution as he was starting to gap the field? He's going to lead us under our 2nd caution of the day, and looks like everybody's going to pit under this yellow. So we'll come back and see who the race leader will be after a view of the replay. Thought this was into turn 1, but it was into turn 3. So being into turn 3, of course, it's going to be a wreck when they're 3 wide. That's Collins on the bottom, Miles in the middle, Trey Wright stuck on the top side. There you see, gets squeezed into the wall. Mitchell Collins goes spinning around. I'm actually shocked more drivers didn't get involved here with the 22 doing 180s. Corey Williams, nowhere to go. And boy, Carson Gumm, a hard hit there. Remember I mentioned Carson has to finish in the top 30 to make it in. And this may DNF him. Contact there for the aid of Matt Haas. And then back here. Oh, right there. Contact is the 21 of Marcus Sacchi was in the grass. He slides into Ryan Butcher, who then gets up into Michael Norman, and then Ryan Butcher gets up into Zach Rogers, who then gets Jordan Lopez. Jesse Turner got the wall as well in the 47, so he got some damage, and then you saw right there, Zach Rogers gets clobbered from behind by Derek Hamill, who I don't think ever lifted. Hamill goes down and pounds the inside wall, almost down where the flagman indicates whether pit road is open or not, and there you see Jordan Lopez slides down to the inside wall as well, and then he's trapped on pit road. You see, he had already, did he slide across the commitment line or not? Whichever the case, he was behind the pit wall when he turned his car around, so he had to go down pit lane. And it doesn't, oh, and then he ran into the back of Derek Hamill. I didn't know he had that damage. Ooh, we could start to speculate some drivers that might potentially be out of the playoff contention already, but of course we're going to have to go back live and see who's able to continue and who's not. How about Charles Sanford trying to get his first career Duracell Cup Series victory? Strategy call gets him out P1. He'll restart ahead of Ryan Brommer, who is now the highest playoff contender, second place. Jack Mitchell, Austin LaPlante, and Alexander Rowe line up your top 5. Chris Dollerton is now up to 6th. Cody Lamas runs 7th with Jose Mills, James Qualls, and Levi Mcintyre top 10. So right now you've only got 3 playoff contenders inside of the top 10 for this restart. Carter Friesen's going to restart in 11th. You got Ryan Acosta back in 13th. Johnny Gardner is in 14th. Jordan Lopez, we'll see what the damage is on that race car. I still see a buckle on the hood. He restarts in the 20th spot. Dylan Young right behind him in 21st. Matt McIntyre is currently 25th. Benjamin Miles in 26th. Carson Gum trying to soldier on. He's 27th right now, hoodless and all. Trey Wright still there. He's 28th. And then you've got Zach Rogers trying to keep his playoff hopes alive. He's going to restart 31st. Michael Norman right now in 32nd. And Jesse Turner in 36th. At this point, only one playoff driver is pulled behind the wall. The driver that came into this race already locked into the round of 12, Cole Baker. He's joined by Vince Almriego, and now most recently in the garage area, rookie Derek Hamill, as the green flag is back in the air on lap 15 of 40. We'll have 26 laps to go. Ryan Brommer immediately to the inside. It's Coca-Cola Vanilla versus Pepsi Vanilla. And Pepsi will prevail, at least here in turn 2. In a moment, we're going to drop back and we're going to look at some of those drivers that got caught up in some of those wrecks, like Michael Norman, Jesse Turner, Jordan Lopez, Zach Rogers, Carson Gums. See just exactly how off the pace they are. As Jack Mitchell's going to go to the race lead, and that McDonald's Camaro right behind him, Austin LaPlante, and then Alexander Rowe, who lost the lead on pit road, now back up to the 3rd spot. LaPlante going to try and slingshot here on the front straightaway. Will his teammate Alexander Rowe go with him? Yes, he will. LaPlante's going to easily clear for the top spot. Rowe trying to clear for 2nd. I think he's got him, and he does. Ryan Brommer there in 4th. Cody Lamas has made his way now up into the top 5 there in the 84. Driver that comes in 9th in the point standings. 13 points ahead of the cut line. Looking good right now to make it in the next round. Only rookie to make it into the playoffs, as Alexander Rowe had thoughts for the lead. Could not get to LaPlante's back bumper going into turn 3. We're going to drop to the rear of the field. Matthew Rodriguez still off the pace. Matt Haas, Mitchell Collins, Corey Williams. There's Carson Gums, still in 29th, and he almost got wrecked by Corey Williams right there. That was close. Jesse Turner right now in 32nd. That's not going to cut it. Turner came into this race 14th in the playoff grid. He needs a much better run than this if he's going to make it into the next round. Michael Norman, who came into this one 10th in the playoff standings. There's Zach Rogers, who came in 12th. And there is Jordan Lopez. They're running 27th, 28th, and 29th right now. That's not going to work. There's Matt McIntyre, 25th. Trey Wright in 26th. Right now, it looks like the 4 drivers that came into this race, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th in the playoff grid, are the 4 that would be eliminated at this point in time. Matt McIntyre, Jesse Turner, Jordan Lopez, and Trey Wright. Matt McIntyre right now, what he needs to do is he needs to be at least 8 positions ahead of Zach Rogers. Turner, Lopez, and Wright need to be even more than that. And right now you saw Zach Rogers and Matt McIntyre were in the same vicinity as each other. There you see them separated by only 2 or 3 positions. So right now, Matt McIntyre would be out. Zach Rogers would be in as they run right now. Look at Johnny Gardner shoot up the middle. That was quite a power move by the 14, splitting Casey Nanico and Chris Dollerton. And he picked up 2 spots in the matter of 1 corner. Very impressive move right there. There is Jesse Turner. Suffered a poor performance last week. That's why he's in the situation he's in. And it looks like that car is off the pace. Although it looked like he only brushed the wall when the wreck happened. So I'm really shocked that car is that far off the pace. We've had a 2-car breakaway at the front. Teammates LaPlante and Rowe working together trying to gap 3rd place, which is now a contest between Levi McIntyre, Charles Sanford, Benny Watson's in that mix now, along with the 98 of Jose Mills. Dylan Young's now up inside the top 10, right behind Carter Friesen. So a couple more playoff contenders getting up here towards the front. With where Dylan Young runs right now, he'd be locked in. I'd say with where Ryan Acosta and Ryan Brummer are right now, I think they would be locked in as well. Alexander Rowe shows no signs of wanting to pass Austin LaPlante right now. I think these two have a strategy, and that is to just stay single file and pull away from the field. We had a car on pit road. That is Jordan Lopez in the 38, and he is going to go a lap down as a result of this. So Lopez, his playoff hopes very rapidly dwindling away. Now, why are these two working together to gap the rest of the field? Because they're then going to have the opportunity to come down pit road and probably not lose a whole lot of time on track. Last thing they want to see right now is a yellow flag, because that will bring everybody back to their back bumpers. How about Keith Batson there in the 39 now up inside the top 10? Great run for him. A couple of Ford Mustangs battling for 3rd here. So far, they've been able to keep it double file going into turn 3. If they try 3 wide again, though, I think we may not have seen our last of yellow flags. Drop back here towards the tail end of this pack, and you've still got Matt McIntyre and Zach Rogers still in the same area. There is the 6, there is the 7. Separated by only 1 spot, and now Zach Rogers going to move his way by Matt McIntyre. So a couple of drivers that made the playoffs for the first time in their career, Trey Wright, Matt McIntyre, look like they're going to get eliminated. Jesse Turner and Jordan Lopez, who both made it, I know, at least to the 2nd round of the playoffs last year. It looks like they'll be possibly eliminated in the 1st round. I'm saying possibly because this race ain't over yet. And we've got a 3 wide situation. Well, it was, and it settled out to double wide. But this ain't over yet. And there could still be other playoff contenders that get involved in something here, as we've still got 50% of this race left to go. And remember, at this point in time, with the exception of Cole Baker, none of our other playoff contenders have retired out of the race. They're still running. Over 6.5 seconds is this battle for 3rd going on behind the 2 race leaders, who still remain single file. And look at that, they're down halfway, they're almost all the way down the back straightaway, and the field was just exiting out of turn 2. And I don't think anybody from this group is going to break away from each other. They are constantly reeling each other in and getting side by side. I don't know if Dylan Young can maybe break away now. If he can, I don't think he'll have enough time or enough speed to be able to reel in Rowe and LaPlante. Now Keith Batson's going to break away. Maybe these two can get single file and work together. Although Batson looks like he's going to try and go to the inside of Dylan Young for 3rd, and that's just going to bring everybody back into this battle. So again, going to help those 2 race leaders continue to pull away. Pretty impressed with Zach Rogers. Got that hard shot in the back bumper from Derek Hamill, and somehow he is still up to speed and still running. He's about to crack the top 20. He's still picking up spots. Jesse Turner has been able to catch back up in this lead group as well. I should also mention, too, that for drivers like Rogers, like Matt McIntyre, Turner, Lopez, Trey Wright, if they win this race, they're locked into the next round. So there is still that possibility, although a couple of them are, off the pace, damaged, so possibly the possibility of that slimmer than most. Great comeback for Benjamin Miles. Got caught up there in that, I believe, was the last caution when he was involved in the 3-wide situation. And he's back up now inside of the top 5. Just took 5th place away from Keith Batson. Levi Mcintyre suffered a wild ride in the first playoff race at Coca-Cola. But then a good run last week at Charlotte Roval moved him from 15th to 11th in the playoff points, and now up inside the top 10 again here today at Indy. Another driver about to crack the top 10 we haven't talked about. How about Jessica Shelton there? Battling with Jack Mitchell. Last time by, she was scored in 11th. She's right behind her teammate Charles Sanford, as looks like we got some pit stops going on here. Levi Mcintyre is going to lead the first group down pit lane. Let's see if anybody else pitted. Oh yeah, LaPlante and Alexander Rowe both pitted from 1st and 2nd. So we'll see where those two cycle around, if they'll still be out in front when all of this when all the pit stops are concluded. This is right now your battle for the race lead. Benny Watson led the last lap. Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, they'd love to get a bonus point for leading a lap here. Miles started on the pole, but he has not led a lap yet today. You had 2 of the Northeast Motorsports cars pit that last lap. You got the other 2 Northeast Motorsports cars right there, the 33 and the 88. Let's see if they pit this lap. Is anybody going to risk it and stay out another extra lap here? It's like Benny Watson's going to. So is Dylan Young. So is Miles. Boy, the entire top 5 are going to stay out an extra lap. You see everybody else here leaving pit road. See who else has stayed out. Sebastian Kukulon stayed out. Zach Rogers stayed out. Now, remember, Zach Rogers was on pit road to repair damage, so they probably have a little bit of extra fuel there. Jessica Shelton also stayed out, as did Jesse Turner. And right now, Ryan Butcher would be up inside of the top 10 in that 78 car. Trey Wright right there, as well as Wyatt Quayle. They got to be careful with the cars merging back on track when they're trying to get to pit road. So let's see. They stayed out 2 extra laps. Dylan Young's going to pit this time. Benny Watson's going to make a very late turn to pit lane. William Brock's going to stay out, though, as will Zach Rogers. I believe those are the only 2 right now, at least for the lead group, that have stayed out an extra lap. Carter Friesen's already pitted. Corey Williams coming to pit lane now. Yeah. We're just waiting now on the 88 William Brock and the 6 Zach Rogers to hit pit road. We'll see if Zach Rogers pits this time, or does he stay out yet another lap to get himself a bonus point. I will be very surprised if William Brock stays out another lap. I think he'll come to pit road this time. Question is this going to see these drivers through to the end of the race? I'm not so certain if it is or not. Zach Rogers is going to pit. So let's find the 48 and the 24, because they were the 2 that were dominating ahead of time. There they are. LaPlante ahead of Alexander Rowe, and this could potentially cycle back as the race for the lead, as they passed all those drivers on pit road. Charles Sanford and Jose Mills working together. Now it's going to come down to drafting duos, I think. Last thing these drivers all want to do is get into a pack, because then that's going to slow them down again. Got Dylan Young and Benjamin Miles. They might be able to catch each other and work together as side by side between LaPlante and Alexander Rowe. That's going to hinder their progress just the least little bit. Now let's see at the line if indeed the 24 and the 48 are going to be 1st and 2nd. And no, they're not, because they just now bypassed William Brock and Zach Rogers on pit road. So next time by, they will cycle around to the lead. Benny Watson's right now in 3rd. Then you've got these guys back here, 4th on back. Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Jose Mills. Charles Sanford's there as well. Jack Mitchell, Levi Mcintyre, Keith Batson, Jessica Shelton. Benny Watson needs help if he's going to get up there and challenge the top 2. But again, like I said, all these guys, they're now battling for position side by side with each other. That's hindering their progress. If there'd been a couple drivers that had broken away into their own 2-car tandem, then maybe they'd have been able to get up there and battle with LaPlante and Rowe, but right now I'm not so certain they're going to be able to. Remember, we also went back green as well with, what was it, 26 laps to go. It was like lap 15, and then these drivers all came to pit road on laps 26, 27. So that means that they are only about, 12 to 13 laps that they can go on fuel. So they came to pit road like right on the cusp. We could have some drivers running out of fuel in the closing stages of this race. This race is not over by a long shot. And if indeed that's the case, I would look at someone like maybe William Brock or Zach Rogers, who stayed out the longest, to maybe be able to absolutely make it on fuel. These drivers continue to go side by side, Rowe and LaPlante. I don't know if they're just sizing each other up or not, but it's not going to help them to pull away from Benny Watson. And Benny Watson looks in his rearview mirror and he's seeing a pack get bigger and bigger, with Dylan Young currently leading that group. Levi Mcintyre right there as well. Let's actually go back, find out where Zach Rogers is in relation to those other drivers that are trying to knock him out of the playoffs, and there's your answer. He crossed the line in 16th, still running good. Jesse Turner is ahead of him, though. He's in the 13th position. And then behind him are the drivers that needed to be ahead of him. Jordan Lopez right now 24th, although remember, he's off pit sequence. He'll probably have to pit before this race is over. Matt McIntyre back now in 32nd, and Trey Wright is in 33rd. So it's looking very much like it's going to be McIntyre, Wright, Lopez, and Turner that are going to get eliminated from the playoffs. There you see Carson Gum, 35th right now in that 3 car, just trying to soldier on. Still side by side between these two. Slowly, Benny Watson is reeling them in. If they continue to do this, he might be able to catch them, but now they get back to nose to tail, and that's going to allow them to pull away from Watson, who at the same time is getting swallowed up quickly by this group. But caution comes out, that'll change everything, but the field seems awfully spread out that I don't really see that happening. Again, side by side between Rowe and LaPlante. The more they keep exchanging this lead, the more the guys behind them are actually going to start reeling them in. The only reason they were pulling away before is they stayed nose to tail. Now as they're sizing each other up side by side, that's definitely hindering their progress. Let's see if Benny Watson ate into the lead that time. 6.8 seconds last time, now 6.2. He cut it down by 0.6, but going to need to do a lot more than that if he's going to have a shot at getting the race win from these guys. And again, there's still the question of, can these guys make it on fuel? Remember, I believe that Alexander Rowe and Austin LaPlante were 2 of the first ones to hit pit road. So if that's the case, and they can only make it about 12 laps, they could be running out of fuel with about 2 to go, maybe even coming to the white flag lap. And they definitely can't be saving fuel with going side by side like this. So this thing is not over yet. We could have ourselves a fuel strategy race for the 2nd straight week, as Alexander Rowe leads the lap over LaPlante. Benny Watson visibly is closing the gap up. Let's see how much he cut it down this time. About 0.4 that time he cut it down by. Now cuts it to under 6 seconds. He also is not really getting reeled in by this group. Now Levi Mcintyre breaks away. Maybe Levi can gap these guys, catch up to Benny Watson, and maybe those two can do something. As long as he doesn't get reeled in again by Mills and Shelton, he might be able to help Benny Watson, and maybe 3rd and 4th can run down 1st and 2nd. But as soon as I say that, you can see right there, Shelton and Mills ran McIntyre back down, kind of pulled him back to them. And so that is going to be any drafting help Benny Watson could have had. That's going to go away very, very quickly. Shelton now side by side with Levi Mcintyre for 4th. Watson cut the lead down again, now 5.3, but 7 laps to go as well. Laps are ticking away here. See, the thing is right here, you see in the corner, Shelton pulls away, but then you can see on the straightaway how the draft comes into play. McIntyre and Mills going to reel her back in. We just saw Jordan Lopez have to come to pit road. He's trapped a lap down yet again as he was off the pit sequence. So That is his playoff hopes done with. He will be one of the 4 eliminated here today. Drivers that definitely look like they will be moving on include Levi Mcintyre, Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles. Jesse Turner is up to 13th. Now he came into this one 7 points behind Zach Rogers. He could displace maybe Michael Norman. How far back was he from Norman? 15 points. He's 14th. If Norman's running 30th or worse... Well, nope. Michael is running right now in 24th, I believe. So right now, Michael would just barely be in by the skin of his teeth. So Turner needs to pick up more spots than where he is right now, and he needs Michael Norman to lose more spots. Gap continues to shrink from second back to third. It's still only about 5 seconds, but there's now 5 laps to go. LaPlante again on the inside of Alexander Rowe. Now, Alexander Rowe won this season at Pikes Peak as a rookie. LaPlante hasn't won since New Hampshire of last year, over a season ago. So you can tell who wants to win probably more in terms of the longevity of a winless streak. There you see again, Rowe crosses over. The gap continues to look like it's closing from third back to fourth, but not by a whole heck of a lot. So Benny Watson continuing to run there in third. I would kind of be concerned about him too, running by himself, not really being able to save fuel. And now we enter into the interesting part of the race. Final 4 laps. Who's got enough gas to get to the end? Did they all come to pit road when the fuel window opened to be able to make it the rest of the way, or did they go as far as they could? 4.2 seconds now. Back to Benny Watson. He continues to steadily chip away, but I don't think he's got enough time. If he could just get close enough to sniff the draft, then maybe he'd have a shot. Jessica Shelton might clear these guys behind her. She might be able to get up there and help. Dylan Young right there in the 2 car as well. We'll see if these guys can formulate something really quickly. It'll have to happen soon. This is going to give the 75 a good tow. But these guys cannot get side by side when they catch the 75, or else that's going to be all she wrote, at least for right now. Gap is definitely going to get cut down here. If he can cut it down to about 3.5, he may have a shot. 3.8. And Shelton gets to his inside, and that's going to hinder the progress of this group, I do believe. Maybe. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they can stay single file here through this corner. Shelton leading the charge now. They can visibly see the 2 race leaders, who are again side by side with each other. There's time. There is time for these guys to reel them in, but they cannot do what they're doing right now. They're going side by side into the corner. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Did Dylan Young indicate he's coming to pit road? Alexander Rowe is. He's on pit lane. He's coming to pit lane. LaPlante stays out. Just what I thought. Closing stages. It's a fuel strategy race. Alexander Rowe has to pit. Just about everybody else stayed out. This is now the battle for second between Shelton and Dylan Young. 2 laps to go. Who's got the fuel to get to the end? LaPlante and Rowe did not look like they were saving fuel, so I'll be surprised if LaPlante doesn't duck to pit road coming to the white flag. But then again, maybe he was saving. We'll see. Shelton, Dylan Young battling here. Keith Batson right there as well. Watson, Mills, Mitchell. Who amongst these drivers can make it on fuel? It's a big racetrack. It's a long ways around. So if you run out of fuel, the likelihood of you getting back to pit road is very slim. LaPlante, will he stay out? Sounds like he's still in the throttle. He's going to risk it. As will most of these other drivers as well. Alexander Rowe is the only one who appeared he could not make it. LaPlante's going for it. Gonna see if he can get his first win of the season. Cody Lamas had to pit. That could be interesting, depending on where the other playoff drivers are in relation to him in the finishing results. Who was that? That was Adam Garcia in the 12 had to pit. Charles Sanford couldn't make it. He just came off pit road. as LaPlante with almost a 3-second lead back to second place, which right now is Keith Batson. Oh, he was slow there into 3. I heard him coast a bit. Gonna try and milk it to the start-finish line. Looking for his first win of the season, second of his Duracell Cup Series career. Austin LaPlante is going to kiss the yard of bricks today. He's going to win the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. There you see him drive by as Dylan Young. Keith Batson had a photo finish at the line for second. Batson got that. Young brings it home third. He's locked into the next round of the playoffs. Benjamin Miles 8th, Levi Mcintyre 9th. They will also move on to the next round of the chase for the championship. Alexander Rowe, 32nd, after leading a number of laps today, and LaPlante is out of fuel. He was about maybe 2 corners to the good to get to the start-finish line and get the victory. He's going to become the 3rd Northeast Motorsports driver to win this season. It's his first win of Season 2, second win overall in his career. LaPlante had that comeback finish last week at the Charlotte Roval, came in 17th in the points, which is the highest you can be with not making the playoffs, and picks up the victory here today. Now is the big question. Where did all of our playoff contenders finish? Who's in, who is not? We already know Cole Baker's locked in. Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Levi Mcintyre with top 10 runs. They're locked in. Johnny Gardner, he's going to finish 13th. He's in. Ryan Brommer, he's in. Finished 15th. We're going to have to look at Jesse Turner with that 19th place run, see if he'll be in or not. Ryan Acosta came in 5th in points. He had an 21-point gap from himself back to 12th, and he finished in 20th. So I think he might be in. Carter Friesen, he was 17 points ahead of the cut line and finished 22nd. That's going to be close. The 2 drivers I think we're going to have to compare are Michael Norman and Zach Rogers. Now, for Matt McIntyre, he finished behind Rogers and Norman, so he is out. Trey Wright finished behind Rogers and Norman. He is out. And Lopez finished behind those 2, so he is out. Let's look in relation to Cody Lamas and Jesse Turner. I think those are the 2 that we need to focus on as far as whether they made it or not. So for Jesse Turner, he needed to finish either 8 spots ahead of Zach Rogers or 16 spots ahead of Michael Norman. He finished 5 positions ahead of Rogers. So he did not pass Rogers in points. And he finished only 4 positions ahead of Norman. So right now, Turner would be out. But here's the question. What about Turner to Lamas? Because with Lamas finishing down there in the 36th position, 1 lap down, that could be an opportunity for Turner to pass him to get into the playoffs. Let's see what the gap between those 2 were. Lamas back to Turner was 20 points. So he needed to finish 21 positions ahead of Cody Lamas. He finishes in 19th. That means Lamas would have to finish in 40th or worse, which he did not. He finished in 36th. So if my calculations are correct, Cody Lamas by about 3, maybe 4 points is going to squeak his way into the round of 12. The drivers that will be eliminated are Matt McIntyre, Jesse Turner, Jordan Lopez, and Trey Wright. A couple other drivers that are going to just barely squeak their way in are Michael Norman and Zach Rogers. So if my calculations are correct, the 12 drivers that are moving on to the next round are Cole Baker, Carson Gum, Benjamin Miles, Dylan Young, Ryan Acosta, Johnny Gardner, Ryan Brommer, Carter Friesen, Michael Norman, Levi McIntyre, Zach Rogers, and Cody Lamas. Now, of course, that's the calculations done in my head. They are not official. We will know officially who is moving on and who is not in just a moment. So do not take my word at face value. I am merely trying to calculate points in my head, and more often than not, I have made mistakes. So I'm just putting that disclaimer out there. Wait until you see the official points, until you take my word at face value. But how about Austin LaPlante here today? What a great run. And how about the fact that we had 3 Northeast Motorsports cars finish first, second, and third? The one that didn't qualify up front won the race in Austin LaPlante. Big win for him, second win of his career, and yet another first-time winner here in Season 2. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race, though, here from Indianapolis. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full finger results, and these are the official point standings. The drivers that are 1st through 12th in points are the drivers that are moving on to the next round. Drivers 13th on down, 14th, 15th, 16th, they are out after our first elimination race. The round of 12 begins next week at Hillside Raceway. Then we go road course racing again at Lime Rock and finish it off with our next elimination race where we will determine our Elite 8 at the Arizona Speedway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA of Flying Racing at its best.